So there may have been a murderer living in my New York City apartment. So this is my story time. Okay, I literally have a whole list of notes in front of me to make sure that I don't forget details. So me and my roommates, like a year and a half ago, were sitting on our couch and all of a sudden hear like literally a bloody murder scream, like sounded like someone was being murdered. So immediately we're like, oh my God, let's call the police because something's happening. So we call 911 and they come, and because we don't know exactly what apartment unit number the sound is coming from, they say that they can't do anything. And I was like, you can't go door to door. And they were like, no, sorry, there's really nothing we can do. If it happens again, try to figure out what apartment number it's coming from. So I was like, okay, so that's not helpful at all. So throughout the week, like we start hearing screaming all of the time, and we call the police multiple times. I know that other people in the building are calling the police because they'll show up at our building when we weren't the ones who called. I'm going to insert a clip of what it sounded like, the screams, right here. So in that first semester that it started happening, we called the police at least, I would say, 10 times. And then so obviously like I started calling the super and emailing like higher up people who own our building, and they were like, unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do. You can't just like evict people in New York City. You need a case. So like send us videos with timestamps of what's going on. So I start taking videos all the time, which it starts to be like literally every single day. It would just be like, oh, he's screaming again, or oh, someone's screaming bloody murder again. So I just started collecting a bunch of videos. So I had like a whole album of stuff that I would send to them so that they could send it to their lawyers to create a case. So I go to NYU, so I'm in a New York City, just regular apartment, but there are other NYU girls, or were other NYU girls in my building who happened to share one of the walls with them, with the man who was screaming. And they said that in like the middle of the night, like he'll be pounding on things. It'll sound like he's hammering things. He'll be screaming. He'll be yelling. He'll be kicking things, punching things, throwing things, breaking things. Like they've called the police multiple times. So other people in our building are obviously noticing it. People start talking, like when we're in the halls, like trying to figure out what's going on and what we can do. So one day in particular, it gets really bad. And I actually don't know, like I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember it being really bad to the point where we were like, okay, it had been going on for so long where we like weren't calling the police because we had called the police so many times and there was nothing they could do, that we were like, okay, we're calling the police right now because this is really bad. And they were like, okay, we've gotten other reports. We're sending people. So they send like EMTs, fire department, and police, because we were like, let's do you should do a wellness check. So knock down the door. So for reference, our apartment building is like, the walls are like paper thin. So like if I'm sitting on my couch, I can hear the front door downstairs open, and I can also hear people walking in and out of their units, specifically like if they're on our floor. And the guy was, of course, on our floor. So I heard him come home, get into his apartment, and he did not leave because there's only one door to leave your apartment. So I knew he was in his apartment and he was screaming bloody murder. So multiple people in the building call. So then now back into the story, the police come. So they start knocking on his door and he's not answering. And they're like, guys, like he's not home. There's like nothing we can really do. And I was and they're like, okay, we're going to knock down the door. So they got the fire department to come and knock down the door. When they do, the first thing that the firefighter says is, oh my God, it looks like a sex dungeon in here. So that's never a good sign. So they walk around his entire apartment and he is nowhere to be found because he escaped through his fire escape, through the courtyard, and out through the front door of our building. So the second that they open the door, we're all kind of like standing with our heads peeking out of our window, obviously, or out of our door, like obviously want to know what's going on. And the entire building starts to smell like bleach, like reeking of bleach, like so bad. And at this point, because so many people had called the police, like multiple people were coming down to our floor and just like looking at what was going on, because there was also so many like emergency responders in our building. So they said that we didn't obviously look inside of his apartment, but they said that his whole apartment was covered in blue tarps and cleaning supplies. And I believe that I have a photo of from downstairs seeing that his window was covered in blue tarps. So if I have it, I will insert it here. So his whole apartment was covered in blue tarps and cleaning supplies. There's blue tarps hanging from the ceiling, blue tarps covering all of the surfaces, bleach, whatever. So we're obviously freaking out because we're also like, where did he go? Like he was obviously here. So obviously at this point, like everyone in the building's really concerned. And so the girls who share the wall with him, like I invited them into our apartment and we were just like talking, and like other people in the building like started talking with us. And the people who live directly above him were like, we've been calling the police obviously for like the screaming sounds, but also because our whole apartment has been smelling like bleach. So we were just really concerned, and like they had been calling the super or whatever because the bleach scent was like going through the vents. So eventually the police are like, sorry guys, he's not here. We have to leave. There's nothing we can do once again. So they leave and we're all still like talking in the lobby. And as we're talking in the lobby, the guy whose apartment it is like comes sprinting up the stairs, runs into his apartment and locks the door. So we're all like, oh my gosh. So we call 911 again. I called them and was like, hi, just want you to know that you guys just left. But the guy returned back to his apartment, re-explained the whole situation. Takes them 45 minutes, but they eventually come back and they take him away into the ambulance, whatever. I don't really know what happened. All I do know is that the girls texted me later that night saying that he returned. Thankfully, this was around my summer break from school, so I went home, and eventually by the time that I came back to school, he was completely moved out and there's new people moved in, so I'm not really sure what happened. So we asked the building for compensation and they tried raising our rent, and we were like, how about you decrease our rent because we literally had a murderer in our building? And they were like, okay, well, we can't do that, but we're going to give you guys $200 gift cards to any place you want. And I was like, okay, that's like not helpful at all, but like, sure, obviously we'll accept. So I go, oh, I'll get a DoorDash gift card. And they were like, actually, we only like supporting small businesses, which like, okay, totally get and understand. And I also love supporting small businesses, but we literally had a man murdering people in our building. We don't know that for sure. We're not exactly 100% sure what happened. But I feel like the least you could do is give me, like, let me choose where this gift card's money is going. And like, oh my God. And so this is so unimportant to the story, but like, yeah, so we don't actually know what happened. And I actually had multiple people in my building text me being like, hey, did you ever get any update? And I was like, I actually have no idea. Those girls moved out. A lot of people in my building did move out because like the situation did go on for like over a year. And it was definitely getting really crazy and really scary. So I really hope that everything was okay. And I really don't know what happened. I think I am going to reach out to the building and just like see if there's any update. I don't know what they're allowed to tell us or what they're not. But it was definitely really scary. And I hope that that guy got the help that he needed. I hope that everyone is safe. A really crazy part of my college experience was coming home to literally screams of bloody murder and agony. All any time of the day. Literally any time of the day. So that was a long way to story time. Wow, this is really long, so hopefully I can edit it down. But thanks so much for watching.
Has anyone else ever had a crazy neighbor experience? Like the type where they try to you? Because one of my followers named Alice just told me about hers, and I'm kind of scared for her life. Like, I'm not even kidding. I hope she's still alive. Before I begin, just in case something does happen to TikTok, go ahead and follow my other socials here and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'll always be posting story times there, so continue to submit your stories. So Alice told me this all started when her and her family moved from Florida to South Carolina a few months ago. She said things in South Carolina were completely different to how she used to live in Florida, so adjusting to her new life was kinda hard. And having a crazy neighbor just made it 10 times harder. Alice said her family was nice, jolly people that you would honestly love to be around. And being that they were stepping into a totally new environment with people that they don't even know, she told me that when they moved in, her family decided to go door to door introducing themselves to all the neighbors. Now, of course, some people liked the idea of that and others not so much. Alice said at one point, one of the neighbors even called the cops on them because they were apparently causing disruption. This, of course, did not stop her family because she said that they wanted to make it known that they just moved in. Alice said there was one more house that her family had to introduce themselves to, and it was the house at the end of the street where there was a dead end. When they arrived at this house, Alice said she felt as if the world stopped. An eerie quietness filled the air as her and her family stepped foot on this person's lawn. She told me this house wasn't like the others. It was filled with vines, uncut grass, and even had a family of crows watching them from the roof above. Alice remembers tugging her dad to not go and knock on that door, but he insisted that he did because if he didn't, it would be seen as rude or disrespectful. Alice said instead of walking up to the door with her parents, she decided to wait at the end of the driveway watching them. She told me when her dad knocked on the door, there was no answer for about 10 seconds when all of a sudden the door started to slowly creep open. That's when an old lady with white frizzy hair and botched skin peeked her head out to listen to what her dad had to say. Alice remembers at one point as her dad was talking, the old lady looked around and spotted Alice. In that moment, the old lady kept looking Alice up and down, and she told me that she described it as if the old lady was trying to pierce through her skin. She was very uncomfortable to the point where she even yelled at her dad to hurry up. Alice said as her parents were saying their goodbyes and the old lady waved, and her parents turned around not facing the old lady, Alice said that she was pointing at her and then slammed the door. Alice proceeded to tell her parents what she just saw, but she was shushed off and told that she was being rude. Now fast forward, this is where things got really weird for Alice and that neighbor. She told me as she was walking to her bus stop, she heard multiple screams coming from the house at the end of the street. Curious, she decided to walk over to see if she was hearing things, and she was not. Those screams were in fact real, and they were freaking her out. Ellis said as she was standing there on the driveway of this house, she heard 2 more screams and an oof sound as if someone or something was getting hit. A few seconds later, Alice told me the most strangest thing in the world happened. The same family of crows that were watching her family a few days prior and was watching her right now flew behind the house and began cawing loudly. So at this point, she knew something was off, like she could feel it in her gut. Alice told me she proceeded to walk up the driveway and towards the side of the house to see what was going on in the backyard. What happened next traumatized Alice for life. She said as she peeked her head forward, she saw that family of crows eating away at a dead cat that she assumed the old lady had just killed because she was standing there watching and smiling. She told me this was shocking to her because at her house, she has a cat of her own, so just imagine if her cat got free. She told me looking at this, she accidentally gasped loud enough for the old lady to hear. She remembers the old lady whipping her head around, staring at Alice, and uttered the words, "You will be next for the crows." After hearing that, Alice turned around not knowing that someone was literally right behind her. She told me a man big and old, which obviously was the old lady's husband, grabbed her so tight and yelled, "So you're the girl she's been talking about." She told me she remembers his grip was so strong, and before she could even say anything, before she could even scream, he started walking with her to the back. So keep in mind, the lady just threatened her to feed her to the crows. Alice told me she has never felt such genuine fear in her life, and her flight or fight instincts kicked in so fast in that moment. She told me when he fully brought her into the backyard, she started screaming and crying, as well as apologizing for being there. She told me she was kicking, even bit the man, but he would not let go. Alice honestly thought that this was the end for her because she told me now that she was fully in the backyard and can see everything around her, she described it as if she was in a butcher's kitchen, like it was not normal. Eventually, he dropped her and she told me that she ran all the way back to her bus stop where she couldn't stop thinking about what she saw for the rest of the day. Fast forward again at night, Alice told her parents everything that happened and what she saw, and at first they didn't even believe her and even yelled at her for snooping around places that she shouldn't be snooping around, until Alice showed them the bruise on her arm from how hard this man was gripping her. So that same night, Alice told me her parents decided to call the police to do an anonymous wellness check on the house just to make sure they weren't doing anything shady in the house. But when the report came back, everything was normal. Alice told me that ever since that day, every single morning when she has to walk to the bus stop, she could see the old lady and the family of crows on the roof watching her from a distance. It's like the old lady sets her alarm and wakes up at that time just to walk outside and taunt Alice. Alice told me she has no idea what to do, and she wanted me to ask you guys, what would you do in her situation?
So I have the craziest story. I bought my first home in July. I had a patio space. I was so excited to put my twinkly lights up. I'm one of those girls that really enjoys a good twinkle light. I string those babies up, and of course they come crumbling down because my neighbor did not like that. The next day, my boyfriend is outside grilling. She comes over yelling at him. Why were the lights on at 3 in the morning? I don't know. What's it to you what time I'm sleeping? We come inside after her yelling at us, and we hear her. She has a hammer hammering at my property trying to get these things down. So I go outside and I'm like, excuse me, please don't touch my property.
Your property is your mouth. Why don't you think of others?
She did not like that. The following day, she decided to watch me all day long. I had seen this previously, like I had noticed her watching me occasionally, but she stood out there at the fence watching me the entire day. I got very uncomfortable. I went back outside to say something.
Do you need anything?
Why are you talking to me?
You're staring down over here.
I don't want to have anything to do with you
Then why are you looking at me? Why are you staring at me all day?
because I have a right.
Claims this is legal and I should sue her. Maybe I should. I don't know. Let me know. The story just gets more and more insane.
Storytime and how my best friend got catfished by her creepy neighbor for 3 months. Okay, so a little background. This neighbor has always been like kind of weird. He's always just been like watching around. Even when I went over there, it was just always off vibes about him. He's always been the guy in the neighborhood that everybody liked, so no one really thought of it that much. Anyway, so one day my best friend gets an ad on Snapchat. On Snap, you can have like public profiles, and he only had a profile picture, but not like any pictures under the profile. But obviously she didn't think too much of it because a lot of people have like only profile pictures. They don't have like, anything under the profile. So when she told me about it too, I was like, oh, that's nice because it looked weird. They start texting and getting to know each other a lot, which is crazy how this guy pulled it off because he literally sounded just like a teenager. My friend also doesn't like calling. That's kind of like a bad part in this because she should have like called him, and you know, she doesn't like calling people. So that's probably how he kind of got away with it. And she also told me that he never mentioned calling anyways, so that's kind of like suspicious. But I didn't know this before. Anyway, so it comes around May, and it's like 3 months of them consistently talking every day. And she tells me that he wants to meet somewhere. So she asked me to go, but he said that he only wants it just them. But she was really scared to go by herself, so she told me that when they finally met up, she was just gonna say she brought me because she was really nervous and stuff, which I think it's okay. Honestly, I don't think it's kind of weird to bring someone else, especially meeting someone for the first time that you've never met or even called. But he made it pretty known that he only wanted to see her. He told her, I only want to see you, don't bring anybody else. And that's when I started to think it was suspicious, because what do you mean you don't want her to bring anybody else? So they decided to meet at the public mall, so we went there and we sat there waiting for him. So finally we're sitting at the mall and her neighbor comes up to us and then she was like, oh hey, like it's funny seeing you here. And he's like, no, I'm the person you've been talking to. She's like, what do you mean this is him? And she pulled up a picture of him and he was like, yeah, it's me, I've been talking to you. And he was saying like, don't tell anybody, like don't tell anybody. I was just sitting there mind blown, because what do you mean you're like 40, 50 years old and you're sitting here texting, trying to act like a teenager? Like, isn't this illegal? He's like, just calm down, like I promise I'm the exact same person you've been talking to. Mind you, her parents dropped us off at this mall, so we had no guardians or whatsoever around us. So I told her, I'm like, let's go. I grabbed her arm and I told the guy never to speak to us ever again, we're calling the cops. So we ran out of the mall, called her parents called the cops, but I really don't know what happened after that. Apparently, like, they came and talked to him, but that's all I know so far. That was really weird, and her parents are planning on moving too. Watch who you talk to online, because you never know who you could be talking to, especially if they're your next door neighbor. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Follow me for more story times because I have a lot. Love you guys so much. Bye.
Why do old men feel the need to make every single fucking young woman feel so incredibly uncomfortable in public? It's always an old man. Story time while I drive. I was at the grocery store yesterday, you know, living my life, listening to my Sabrina Carpenter, maybe, you know, doing a little dancey dance, lip syncing to my music because I don't give a fuck how I look in public. Doing my grocery shopping because I need food. Hello. As I'm walking down one of the aisles, this man was like walking towards me and passing, and he like motions to me as I pass him to like get my attention. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, different types of headphones mean different levels of don't fucking speak to me. I had over the ear like headset fucking headphones. Extra don't speak to me. I feel like if you have AirPods in, it might be a little different. Any form of headphone to me means don't speak to me, but especially over the ear headphones. He motions to me to get my attention, so I stop and I, you know, move one of my things and I'm like, yes. And he was just like, oh, what are you listening to? I'm at a red light. What are you listening to? I don't know, I didn't feel like disclosing all my information, so I was just like, oh, you know, I'm just like random songs that come up on my playlist or whatever. And he was like, oh, because I saw you like dancing or whatever, and I didn't know if you were gonna like start doing TikTok dances or something like that. I was like, no, I'm not gonna bust down in a fucking TikTok dance in the middle of the grocery store. I have some decorum. You know, I'm saying this like, you know, because I'm not trying to get killed, so I'm, you know, being smiley and laughing and whatever, but in my head I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. So I'm saying all this as I'm like walking away, whatever. So for the entire rest of my shopping trip, which wasn't very much longer, it was maybe like another 15 minutes, I was like fucking wired. I'm extra cautious of my surroundings now. Does the don't talk to strangers rule go out the window as you age? Why are old people going around speaking to people they don't know? Anyway, I finish my shopping, I check out, you know, no sign of him, so I'm in the clear. As I'm walking out the door, I see this man outside. I'm like, tell me this man is not waiting for me. Tell me this man is not waiting for me to leave this fucking store right now. So as I'm passing through like the little like pillar things that are always before you get to like a grocery store entrance door, he starts walking with me at like, not right next to me, like maybe 4 feet away from me, but he starts walking as soon as I pass through those little things. I'm like, oh my fucking God. I'm just trying to think of every scenario in my head right now, because I'm like, the last thing I need is for this man to follow me to my fucking car and or see what kind of car I'm driving and follow me home. I immediately turn back around and go back into the store. I can just pretend that I forgot something in the store. And as I'm like walking, and right before I turn around, he says something along the lines of like looking me up on TikTok to find me. I'm like, fam. And I took my headphones off. I don't walk outside with headphones on ever, especially at fucking night. And it was dark outside. And it was also a grocery store. So it's not like it was empty and there weren't people around me. But still, the last thing I needed is for this man to follow me literally anywhere. I immediately turn back around and go back inside. And I call my mom. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be a couple minutes because this man decided to wait for me outside of the fucking store. So I'm gonna linger out here because the last thing I need is for this man to follow me anywhere. Luckily, I also called my best friend and she was close by, and her boyfriend came and like walked me out to my fucking car. I don't understand. I'm 21 years old. This man could have been my father, for one. But besides that, why can't we be normal? If you want to approach someone, why are we slowing down so quickly? If you want to approach someone, maybe don't be fucking weird. Maybe just say a hi, how are you? Strike up a conversation through that. Don't say to them as you're following them outside of a store that you waited for them outside of, that you're gonna look them up on the internet to find them. Maybe let's not do that, because that seems a little creepy. And it's extra creepy because you're like 30 to 40 years my fucking senior. Oh, how I love being a woman. I question my sanity and my will to live and my entire existence every fucking day, but I questioned it a little bit more right in that scenario. Because I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? Quite literally, what are we doing here?
My neighbors are really starting to creep me out and I can't take it anymore. I wasn't going to say anything, but let me just set the scene for you. Okay, so I moved into this place literally years ago. I was the first one on the block, right? So then all of a sudden they start building these townhomes literally directly behind me. I'm really frustrated about this, by the way, because my landlord never mentioned that there was going to be anyone behind me, and I will get to that later. Let's get into the good stuff. The freaking neighbors. What's going on? This all started last October. My birthday's October 4th. So it was a few days before that because my mom and sister came over to take some pictures for my birthday. As we're standing in the backyard taking a couple pictures, I'm holding a cake. I'm holding a cake that says 29. You can tell it's my birthday. And I was taking pictures with my mom. My sister was taking them. All of a sudden I see one of my neighbors pop out. And she doesn't just like come outside and naturally is doing whatever she's doing. She comes outside and she's just staring. She's just staring at us like couldn't care less. This isn't an older lady, by the way. They're all about my age, so really freaking weird, and they all have kids. I'm getting there, but it's not just one neighbor. It's three. It's three. I digress. So, going back, oh my gosh, as I'm saying this, one just came outside. You're joking. I'm telling you guys, I'm 1 minute into this video. I'm not kidding when I tell you, I cannot go to any of my windows, be anywhere near a window where like a neighbor back there might be able to see me without them coming outside and just staring at me. Girl, what? What do you want? Like, she's just staring. I'm on the second level right now. I'm in my bedroom filming, and I know she can hear me too, because I can hear every little thing that goes on outside. Sorry, I'm so flustered. I feel like that this video is really just gonna be a jumbled mess, and watch. Her little thing 1 and thing 2 are gonna come out next. So anyway, that birthday one was really creepy because, so basically the girl that's staring at me right now is in house number 1, then there's house number 2, and house number 3. As far as I've seen, none of these girls know each other. I've never seen them interact. I've never seen these people talk to each other. Nothing. The only one I've seen is that the one in the middle talks to the one that's directly next to me. Like, she's not in the back. She's lived here since I lived here. So I don't know how those two know each other. I feel freaking awkward and my anxiety's through the roof because this girl can literally hear everything I'm saying, which is what she wants, I'm sure. So since that first time in October on my birthday, I'm not kidding, every single time I've been outside, I've been near a window, I've been in my kitchen, wherever they can see me in the house, they immediately come out. And this is the weird thing. Their blinds will all be closed, their curtains will be closed, and somehow they still freaking know as soon as I'm near a window or I'm outside. So here's the kicker. The one in the middle is the one that really irks me. She is the one that first did it, and she is the one who will just stand and stare. I started staring back, and she doesn't break. She doesn't stop. She just keeps staring at me. I literally feel like I can't live in my own house. Like, it's actually starting to irritate me because I was the first freaking person to live here, and then they all come in. Like, this building wasn't even here. It wasn't even here, and I'm so frustrated because, like, I've loved living in this place, but I actually feel like this is a deal breaker, and I'm gonna have to move when my lease is up. Okay, I'm sorry to do this, but go to part 2. My neighbors are really creepy. Part 2, if you haven't seen part 1, go check that out. It's the last one I posted. This is the most frustrating part about this to me. Okay, as you guys know, I'm an influencer, whatever you want to call it. I do social media marketing, so I make videos for brands, and part of that is that I need natural sunlight. Like, I can't make good videos if the lighting isn't good. And so when I got into this place, I specifically got it for content creation. So I purposely got this because there used to be a field behind me all the way down. So at the time I was like, this is freaking perfect. Like I have all the sunlight in the world and nobody behind me. I was wrong. My landlord failed to mention to me that they were going to be building other townhomes behind me, which is really annoying because that was the whole purpose and why I got this place. Only these homes get built, and honestly, it probably wouldn't be as big of a deal if I didn't have the world's creepiest neighbors. A couple weeks ago, I had to film for a brand, and I was down in my kitchen where there's the most natural lighting and where I can show you guys these dresses because like they're floor-length dresses, so I needed enough space between me and the camera, enough of the natural lighting, whatever. I'm filming. The chick that lives directly behind me, the one that just came out in my last video and was staring at me, she just starts staring from her kitchen. Just stares and stares. It's the whole time that I'm making this video, so it takes me like about an hour to make those types of videos. Yeah, she's just staring, just standing in her back door. Like, there's no reason for you to be there. So that's another strike, is that I'm just trying to work from the comfort of my own home, and this is where it gets creepy to me. If I was outside, okay, I'm in a public place, but I am living in my own private home, and you are staring into my house. Next day, I'm trying to film a video with Colton, and what happens? I put my phone up literally on that back door. She comes out in her kitchen, and she's just staring at us. Staring. Okay, glaring is what I should say, glaring at us. I told him, I was like, I can't make this video. I feel so uncomfortable. So I said, let's move it to the living room window because I have like a sticky thing on my phone. So I just put it on the window. And I told him, I said, not that it's going to matter because I know the second we go over there, that one's going to come out of her house. What do you think happened? What do you think happened? My phone, I just have to slap it to the window and it sticks so that I can start filming. I didn't even have time to do that. The second I pulled the blinds up, she literally like books it to the back of her door and she just opens it. And tell me how weird this is. We live in Utah. Do you know how freaking freezing cold it is here? Okay, not only that, on multiple occasions where it's been snowing outside, as soon as I'm at my back door or my window or whatever, she has her kids go play outside and they're not dressed for the snow, okay? These are like 2-year-old kids. They walk outside, they start playing for a few minutes, and she just that girl, she's back out. She's back out here. Right as I'm talking, she comes back outside. This is an actual joke. Okay, there she is. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you? So anyway, the third one has done this multiple times as well, but she's a little bit more like down the lane, so I don't see her as much. But the second one and the first one, it's every day of my life. I live no peace in this house. She never just like looks and checks up on what I'm doing. Not that that's even okay, but it's not like she just checks and then she's like, oh, okay, this girl's just taking pictures out here. She just stands and stares. It's like how you go to the grocery store and you can feel like the manager or an employee staring, just standing over your shoulder, making you feel like you're stealing something. That's how this feels. I don't know what the deal is. I haven't talked to any of them ever, so it's not like they have any reason to not like me. The first time I ever even saw these ones after they moved in was when I went outside to go take pictures for my birthday with my mom and my sister, and it was just so weird. And my mom and sister were like, that is creepy. So creepy. And now my fiance is getting creeped out. So it's not just me, okay? But guess who's the one? Oh, there she is. There's thing number 2. I can't get through one freaking 2-part video without having multiple of them come out and stare at me. And I stare back and I'm like, I make gestures now. I didn't used to. It took me until like a week ago before I finally started being like, what? What do you want? And she knows I'm irritated and she just keeps doing it. She's just staring at me. What's really odd to me is that the 3 of them don't seem to know each other. I've never seen a single one of them ever like talk or anything like that. So I'm just super confused because why do they all 3 do the same thing if they don't even know each other? Like it would make a little bit more sense if they seemed like they were all buds and like maybe they've had a conversation about me or something and they all did it. But no, I don't think they've even ever talked amongst each other. So I'm just very, very, very confused. And like, what do you do to stop something like this? Like, how do you stop your neighbor from being creepy? I don't know. I literally don't know. If anyone should be ostracized on this block, it should be thing number 3, because that one is the one that throws house parties really late at night. I don't get it. I don't get it. And if anyone has any ideas of things that I could do without being like super confrontational, even though that's what I want to do, even though it's what I want to do. I don't want to cause issues with my neighbors, but then again, it's just like, how do you confront 3 of them? I'm in a weird spot, you know?